Hi, this is John Rowell for the Rowell Report. Today is Saturday, January 10th, 2026, and there is a report that President Trump and President Zelenskyy will be signing a 800 billion reconstruction agreement between the United States and Ukraine. So, supposedly this agreement will be signed at the Davos meeting, and I believe that's in Davos, Switzerland. So they will be getting together and signing this agreement, apparently as a expansion to the minerals deal that they made. So I'm sure this is tied in with the development of the mines and the processing. So really, what is going to be in this deal and what will be reconstructed? Well, all we have to do is think back to the Iraq War, in which President Bush and Vice President Cheney and the Bush administration promised that Iraq would be rebuilt after the fall of Saddam. It would be like a paradise. And of course, this paradise would be paid for by the American taxpayer? No, by the Iraqi oil. That would pay for everything, and it would be great and wonderful without exactly using those Trump expressions. President Bush promised so much and delivered so little, and they said it was because of the insurgency, which was blocking the access to contractors to the locations where they were supposed to work. That was all the roadside bombs. It was this, it was that, but apparently they had awarded all these contracts to friends of Bush, Cheney, like Halliburton and others. I don't know who received all the contracts, but certainly there was very little accounting done afterwards to say, well, if you didn't do any reconstruction, then they shouldn't get the money, or if they got money, they should have returned it. We never heard of anything like that. I can say that Halliburton was given the contract, the no bid contract for the oil well repairs, and there was a small company from Texas that was involved in stopping the fires at the various oil wells and getting those going again. So we knew the oil was flowing, the money was flowing. What happened to the money, where it went? Did it actually get sent to some American no-bid contract company to build a infrastructure project which was never built? Or did that money just go into some offshore account and disappear forever into somebody's pocket? We don't know, but we're kind of back in that territory again with President Trump, with the idea of the reconstruction. First, you can say, well, there's no evidence that this money is going to be misappropriated, or that they will not complete the reconstruction that they said they would do. But as of yet, we still don't know how much corruption there is in Ukraine, or the U.S. officials who are tied to the movement of money from the United States to Ukraine. And we know of some corruption that has been publicized, but the vast majority of the corruption has not been publicized, and there doesn't seem to be any organization that wants to make transparent all these movements of funds from the United States to Ukraine. That was during the Biden administration. Now we're in the Trump administration. He had kind of the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, I don't know what you want to call it. But anyway, this DOGE, or a group of individuals who would go in and find where the money went, and if it was well used or not, and where money could be saved, and where money had evaporated, disappeared. So that was the hope when President Trump was elected, that Doge would go into Ukraine and dispel all the rumors about corruption and let us know who was corrupt, how much money they took, where it went, and what bank accounts. But that never took place. So we're looking now at basically the continuation of the Biden administration as the as the whole situation of corruption continues to be clouded over. But the biggest worry about the reconstruction program is that it basically puts the United States in Ukraine forever and puts the United States on the border with Russia, something that Russia said it did not want to happen because to have a direct conflict between the United States and Russia could go nuclear very easily. So what Russia wanted to do was to put a buffer zone between Russia and NATO. And you say, well, there's no buffer zone between Russia and Estonia, no buffer zone between Russia and Finland. Russia is not worried about Finland. The border is along, this wooded area. And so if NATO tried to put tanks or military vehicles through some wooded area in the middle of nowhere where there's no roads and it's all swampy, they won't get very far, and that doesn't concern Russia. What concerns Russia is having Ukraine there so close to Moscow, and the fact that Ukraine already has a large military. And if there was a reconstruction effort going, there definitely would be a reconstruction of the military, of its military capacity, of building new missile systems, and eventually Ukraine would get the missiles in its territory that Russia doesn't want them to have, never wanted to have close to its border. So Russia is just going to continue this war until it gets a collapse in the Zelenskyy regime and it can control the political situation in Ukraine. So signing this reconstruction deal with Ukraine would basically be the end of any political system that is currently in place. And that would be, basically Russia needs to get to Kiev if Zelenskyy signs a reconstruction deal with the United States, because only then would they be able to topple the government. They would be able to define the course of the decisions made in Ukraine, and to avoid the scenario evolving where again the US would have missiles and drones right on its border and constantly flowing towards Moscow or some other Russian asset. So what basically Russia wants to do is to take the conflict to the point where there is no more security danger for Russia. So I can't see Russia agreeing to any peace deal, especially if at the end of this peace deal we get NATO hubs and we get the United States in there with all their contractors. And of course, these contractors are going to have security. And of course, this security is going to be military. It will probably be CIA. And the CIA on the Russia border is bad news, both for Ukraine and for Russia. So anyway, if this deal is signed, we won't see any end to this war until Zelenskyy's regime completely falls flat on its face, and Ukraine has no more possibilities of waging war against Russia. So when they basically collapse and they raise the white flag, that is when Russia will stop fighting. and basically Ukraine will fall to I don't know what the final deal will be, but like I say, signing a reconstruction deal in Ukraine is bad news for Ukraine, so they shouldn't do it. But Zelenskyy is just there. He's an actor. He reads a script. He meets people and carries out public relations for Ukraine. And really, he is a great asset for the United States to continue this theater of an independent nation fighting for democracy and for human rights. So, anyway, if this $800 billion agreement is signed between Zelenskyy and Trump, then you can say goodbye to Ukraine, at least the current configuration, and Russia will not rest until it raises the Russian flag in Kiev and the Zelenskyy regime has completely collapsed, or at least has left the country and trying to carry out some sort of government in Poland or Paris or London or somewhere else. So anyway, we will see what President Trump is up to with this reconstruction deal. But like I say, in Iraq, there was all kinds of promises. Very little was delivered on it. Plenty of money exchanged hands. There's no accounting. There's no transparency. And I don't think this will change anytime soon in Ukraine. It will be just, basically round two of the same stuff. So, but even before the United States were to set foot in Ukraine to try to do some reconstruction, I think Russia would just continue on until it leaves Ukraine a rump state, incapable of functioning, and with all those debts and with a dysfunctional government, the United States may be hesitant to step foot in Ukraine ever again. So anyway, that is my video about this $800 reconstruction deal that supposedly President Trump and President Zelenskyy will sign. This will seal the death sentence for Ukraine, in my opinion. So we will see what happens in the future. But I don't think this is good news for Ukraine, for Ukrainians. They will fight to the last man, and Russia has too many resources, too many soldiers, too much willpower to just give up while they're almost at the goal. So this is an attrition warfare, and so it's not about territory, it's about attrition. So if you don't know about attrition warfare, I did speak about that in another video. You can also Google it or investigate that. It was well used in World War I very effectively by the Western powers. So they certainly know what attrition is, although they don't want to recognize that Russia's carrying it out or that they're using it effectively to basically demilitarize Ukraine. So anyway, that is the video, and I wish everyone well. Take care, and I will see you back either tomorrow, Sunday, if something urgent comes up, if some announcement is made about this reconstruction deal, or if nothing else happens, I'll see you back on Monday, God willing. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.